Good morning. Okay, so last week was a crazy ass week for me. So much going on, so much energy exerted last week, and just lots of just different changes. And it was really energetic changes, I believe, is what I was experiencing, but it really did a number on me. So I didn't get a whole lot of conscious coffees done. I didn't get my writing done the way I normally do. Felt scattered. I felt like these surges of energy coming through me and then just kind of dispersing all weird and funky and all this different stuff. We're going to just classify it as stuff. But I'm proclaiming that this week, even though I know that it's going to be another week of emotion and tons of change and different stuff going on in my world, I'm proclaiming that this week is going to be a little bit more structured, at least. I'm going to make sure that certain things get done, like conscious coffee in the morning. No matter what time it is, conscious coffee will happen. So the reason why I'm kind of sharing that on that front side is because as I was sitting here this morning, I have a whole bunch of stuff going through my Virgo brain. My Virgo brain says, hey, Kendall, you did not wake up at 6 o'clock. You did not do conscious coffee at 6 o'clock. You are a loser. You are, you're just bad. So I feel like these shame programs and these guilt programs, and I'm beating myself up inside because I said that I was going to do something at 6 o'clock. 6 a.m. conscious coffee. So I should get up at 6 o'clock. I need to do that. I need to make sure that happens, structured like clockwork. Make sure that happens. So I was sitting here, I'm drinking my coffee, and my 5-year-old son is awake, and I got him breakfast, and the house is just starting to wake up and everything. And I have all these programs of negativity and just really programs that are saying that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, coming up in different ways and pointing out exactly why and how I'm not, because look, I already fucked up. It's only 8 a.m. and I've already fucked up. I've been awake for 10-15 minutes, and I'm obviously a big mess up. So that's kind of coming up. Now, the reason I'm sharing that is because I want everybody to realize that, yes, even I go through these different things. No matter where you're at in life, no matter what is going on in life, you have these different things that come up in your life, and you feel unworthy. You feel like you can't quite handle things. You start to, pick on yourself about things, these little nitpicks, because we know that we have certain things that we want done in a certain time frame. We want things to happen a certain way. And then when they don't, well, it must be our fault, right? And it's just that we are not good enough, and obviously we're not worthy enough of achieving what we want. So as I sit here, I came outside, I get coffee, and it's kind of stormy outside, and Addison looked at me, she's like, you don't want to go out there, it's wet outside. I was like, of course it's wet outside, and I just found something that's broken in my house, and I'm like, okay, so that's broken, and I'm stressed out about this. I'm trying to piece together different things, and I've really only been awake like 10-15 minutes, and my list is already kicking in, and I'm finding more things to add to my list. My coffee's making, my kid wakes up, and all this different stuff, and I didn't get a great night's sleep. And I come outside, and I'm like, yeah, it is. It's wet outside, and I always do my conscious coffee from the same chair outside every single day, unless I'm not home. Right? Then I do it from wherever. And that's not a big deal. But when I'm home, I sit in the same chair at my little table on my back patio, because I can see a tree over here, and the wind blows through her just so exquisitely. And it's just this peaceful place, and I got the birds, singing and everything, and it's really nice. So when I looked out here and I saw water all over my table, I was like, oh, that's no good. That's no good. My seat's a little wet and everything. Quickly, though, I fixed it. I figured out how to get my seat not to be wet, how to find a dry spot on the table, how to do all this different stuff, which made it possible for me to do conscious coffee. Then as I sat here and I started looking, and I'm like, gosh, maybe what I need to do is maybe I need to just change my time on conscious coffee. What if I just took the time off of my conscious coffee? Instead of saying 6 a.m. conscious coffee, here's an ingenious idea. Let's take the 6 a.m. off and just call it conscious coffee. And then I'm not going to be stuck on a time slot, but instead I can just do conscious coffee when my spirit says I'm going to do conscious coffee. It'll be in the morning. So this is the formal announcement of conscious coffee changing from 6 a.m. conscious coffee to conscious coffee whenever the fuck I get up conscious coffee. Okay? Because that's just going to go better with my world. And it also shows flow and teaches flow and shows people how to get a little bit more in alignment and not to be so damn stinking tough on themselves. Because I need a little extra sleep this morning. And that's just the way that was. And I am worthy of the sleep, because the sleep is going to make me a better person all day long. So, looking at that, I was just going, okay, what else can I share about? Because that's a change, right? That is a change. And one of my favorite movies is Phenomenon from the 1990s. Old John Travolta movie, and Kyra Sedgwick, I believe. And it takes place in Napa, and it's an incredible movie. But there's this scene in the movie where Kyra Sedgwick sits outside her house in a rocking chair. She's got her kids on her, and it happens a couple times. They're sitting there and they're rocking, and the wind just blows through the trees. And it's right at these significant change points in the movie that this happens. And they go and they look out at this. It shows her just staring off into, like off into space. And then the camera goes and it looks at the tree, and the wind is just blowing through the tree, and there's such peace and such just that happens in that moment. And you can feel that even though at these change points in the movie and what is going on in that movie, that right there brings peace. That right there helps her character kind of know that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. It is all for the highest and best good. And for whatever reason, that movie, that scene, has affected my life tremendously. And I find myself sitting outside often when I'm confused, when I'm stressed, or when I'm just trying to tap in and tune into God, tune into that voice, which is exactly what I did this morning after I figured out I got the solution for the water, and I came up with the change on the conscious coffee that I'm going to make. And I looked at this tree, and the wind just kind of picked up and just blew through the tree. And I felt spirit, I felt God just kind of go, to the point that I almost feel really emotional about it. I feel a lot of almost tears that want to come up and rise up, because I'm not going to cry about changing the time of conscious coffee. I don't think I'm going to cry on conscious coffee. That would be like a freaking sheer miracle. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. But the peace, that certainty of that everything is exactly how it's supposed to be, as the wind kicks up and does this again. Here it comes. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but is so loud, the wind blowing through that tree. But it is quite literally that there is just the certainty that everything is okay. Everything is on purpose. Everything has a reason. And it is always, and here's the kicker, and the true lesson of this conscious coffee is that all change, no matter what the change is, no matter how the painful the change is, we may not be able to understand in this moment or even in this lifetime sometimes why things had to happen the way they did. But everything is moving us forward. It is all evolving us to a new space, a new aspect of ourselves. So we are growing, we are evolving, we are expanding, we are growing. Everything, even when it is extremely uncomfortable and painful, moves us to our highest and best good. Even when it feels like it's kicking us down and hurting us, it's still moving us forward. We're getting lessons from it. And the reason why I can kind of say that and be pretty certain about that is because I've experienced some pretty bad shit in my life. I've experienced a lot of heartbreak, that's for sure. I've experienced abandonment as a child. I've experienced lots of different financial issues, like really loss of everything you can imagine. I've experienced rape. I've experienced miscarriage. I've experienced so many painful things with my children and with myself and with different family members and friends. And I've seen that in those moments, you most certainly don't understand why or how this could be potentially for your own good. But move yourself, and I mean, like, I'll take the rape scenario. I think it was, I want to say 6.5 years ago. Yeah, see, I've even kind of forgotten, which is good. That's a good thing. There's not that massive trigger there. I used to get triggered every single year at right around for the day before and the day of that rape. I would get triggered and my world would just kind of blow up on me, and I would get into a pissy mood, and my body would hurt, and I would, for no reason, and I would go through all these different emotional, physical things, and I couldn't figure out what it was going on for the longest time. And then when I actually started doing research on it, I figured, my inquiry with myself too, I found out, oh man, I'm like having body memory happen every year around the same time, and it's all focused around rape. So I would literally like re-experience in different aspects that rape, and my body would take on different pains and different all this different stuff. This is actually the first year since it happened that I have not had that happen. So it's really, really amazing, fucking amazing that I haven't had that happen. I went to kind of just breezed through March. Just went through March and just like, didn't even notice. And somebody else actually pointed it out to me. I'm like, wow, you're right. That's awesome. And to the point that I can't quite remember exactly years. I mean, I'd have to sit down and like count back, and I'm not going to do that because I don't want to anchor it that much into my system. But 6.5 years ago, I did experience this rape, and 6.5 years ago, I remember writing the rapist a letter, and in the letter, I wrote, and it was like me processing out all my stuff to him. And I wrote in there about, I was blaming, of course. So I wrote to him, how he had destroyed my life, and how he had destroyed me being able to be a good mother, and how he had destroyed my business, and how I could no longer connect to people, and I couldn't trust anybody, and I couldn't do this, and I couldn't do that, and I was blame. And I was really just putting it out there, and I was blaming him so much. And then I flipped in there that, if I just had not worn the outfit that I wore to work that day, if I had just not maybe made certain comments that I made, because they could have been, I guess they were perceived some other way, if I had just done what I thought I would do in that situation, which would be to fight back instead of retreat. And literally, because when I was experiencing it, I remember laying on the ground, and I thought that in those moments that if anything ever happened like that, that I would fight, I would scratch, that I would bite, that I would scream, that I would kick him in the nuts, that something would happen if I ever was raped. And what happened when that happened was that my body literally went into a limp noodle state, and I got sent into my mind, and almost this out-of-body experience happened, where I felt like I was kind of like cast out of my body even, and like dangling out in the corner of the room, you could say, and I got to witness the whole thing. And I just kind of completely detached from my physical being, and I went up into the corner, and I could see everything from almost a third-person perspective. But I felt it, and literally the feeling was kind of like my body was just kind of being shook back and forth, and I was detached from actual physical stuff, except for certain feelings I couldn't avoid, because he was psycho. He actually was trying to like get me off in different ways. Hold on, somebody is trying to call me. Okay, there we go. Decline. So I was experiencing this from third person, and I remember all of that, and I remember having these experiences and all the stuff that I would do, right? But I actually did something else, and I remember writing in the letter about how I should have done this, I should have done that, and blah, 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 blah. So I was blaming him, and I was blaming myself for not doing what I thought I would do, and I was damning both in the midst of it. And it took me a good solid, I didn't even tell anybody about it for a week. And then it came out in a really, really bad way, which is a whole nother story that I'm not prepared to share at this moment. I didn't even know I was going to share this, to be honest, but that's conscious coffee, right? Here we go. Authentic. Live authentically. Live just raw in the moment. So it all started coming out. And it took me I want to say, because I had to go to work, and this happened at work. It was actually a client of mine, and I never even saw it come out. So I did not want to take on male clients for a very long time. And I started trying to work with women, but I was actually pissed off at women because I was pissed off at my weakness in that moment. So I was having issues in dealing with women. I was having issues in dealing with men. And my business really just kind of took a hit around that because I didn't really want to work with anybody, and I didn't trust anybody because I didn't trust the masculine or the feminine. And about a year later, I kind of sort of came out of it to a point that I could see some sort of blessing in the rape. And I know that can be like a crazy statement, right? But I experienced the blessing of that I could actually kind of, because I had a woman come into my life that had a scenario like that happen. And I connected with her at a little bit different of a level than what I ever could have before. I could understand the pain, and I could understand what had happened. And you know, I'm sitting here, and somebody just wrote down that they experienced an out-of-body viewing when they were physically abused too. And the fact that thank you, by the way, for sharing that. The fact that is, you see, that's like a connection. So those are connectors, because when we have certain similar experiences in different way, it connects us to people in different ways that it normally would not. And it took me that year and a half to start to see those connectors, to deal with my own stuff enough and process that I could actually open up to the connectors. And once I started opening up to those connectors, here's the crazy ass thing. That rape actually set the tone, and I would never ever want this to ever happen to anybody, of course, and it's bullshit, and the man was definitely in the wrong, and I've done a lot of healing work around this. But because I've done that healing work around it, I can now see the blessing, because those connectors allows me to actually connect to other people who have experienced similar things, have experienced trauma, have had these experiences of, you know, like what they thought, and the shame and the guilt and the blame that we put ourselves in these instances. I've experienced that. I still have little trigger things. Like, there are things that the man had a certain smell to him, and every now and then that smell will come up in my life, and it triggers me right back into that moment. I cannot help it. And it's for somebody who's never experienced that, you're not going to understand that. But for those of us out there who have had these experiences, there are these triggers that we have absolutely zero control over. And when we get triggered on that, it throws us back into the moment, and it brings up all the emotion, all the trauma of what was happening in that moment and shortly thereafter, and it basically shuts you down, and you feel yourself just kind of locked down like this, and you like that, and you go back into that fear mode. But then you process through, and it gets better as time goes on, but they're still there. And that's a whole nother topic, and I kind of went off base. So we're going to wind back around here, because the change that I experienced from rape, from that rape scenario, is that it actually became a blessing, because it gave me the ability to connect and experience people completely differently. It allowed me to learn how to lean in a little bit more and actually regain trust for myself and decisions that I'm making. It allowed me to really kind of like tap into that intuitive self a little bit more, because I had when I look back, one of my beat ups of myself was, I should have known, I should have seen it coming. And the interesting thing is that I actually told myself that I should not take this person on as a client, that there was just something off, and I was really just second guessing that. But I was financially desperate too. I mean, I had 5 children at that time. I was the breadwinner of the household. All the stuff was going on, and so I really needed to make sure that my bills got paid. And it hit at a time when there was a whole bunch of financial chaos in my life as well, of course, right? So I pushed myself into taking on a client that my spirit said, don't do it. And I went, but I need the money. And my spirit said, don't do it. And I went, but I need the money. I have my power to pay. I have my rent to pay. I have my da 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 da. Right? My spirit knew. My spirit was trying to guide me, and I shut my spirit down. So I got out of alignment, and I pushed through, and what I experienced was not listening to that intuition. And what that actually did, now you could say, well, and I did go through this, like, well, I can't trust myself. That was a big damn deal for a long time after that rape, was that I felt like I couldn't trust myself. But as I moved through that, I realized that I could 100% trust myself. I could trust spirit. I could trust God because the messages were there. The only thing is that I had to decipher and actually listen to those messages and go in faith on listening to those messages instead of letting my ego, my physical shit that's going on in this world that I perceive as being this or that, step in the way of it and push it out of the way. So to not make a decision based on fear of what would happen if I didn't have enough clients, if I didn't have this, because I've been in lots of different situations since then, and the more I lean into my faith, the more things just kind of come in and it just happens, versus fighting against that intuition. Every time I don't listen to my intuition, shit happens that I wish hadn't happened. And then when I do lean in, it just kind of blossoms. Like, life is amazing, and God just provides over and over and over again. So the lesson there is to really listen to those. And the changes, though, good changes always come from it, because even though I didn't listen to my gut on it, even though this really crappy thing happened, at the end of the day, I am grateful for it. I never want to experience it again, but I am grateful for it. I wish it on absolutely nobody, but I am grateful for it. And I'm grateful for it because of the connection that it has provided me in my relationships with other people, and the ability to help other, especially women, because it is the majority of the time women that I'm dealing with around the rape scenario, to help them move through and find and to process that same stuff that I went through, and to heal and to move through and to find their blessing in the negative events that can take place. You know, and I just recently, a couple months ago, experienced physical abuse from a partner, and I never saw it coming. But at the same time, I probably did. So once again, I find myself going, where did I not listen to my gut? And I know, I mean, I can sit here right now, and I'm not going to go and get into that because it's all so fresh. And the one thing that I have learned about trauma is you get a little bit of healing done. I can process out a little bit and share a little bit, but I'm not doing the massive processing right now here. But I mean, even looking back in this moment, I can look and I can say, well, the writing was on the wall. I did see the writing on the wall. My 5-year-old. What, baby? Okay. I'll be in just a second. Go tell him that Mommy will be there in a second, okay? Okay.
And he'll just here for you then.
Okay. Let Mommy finish Conscious Coffee. Okay? Okay, so Gabriel, my 5-year-old, coming and telling me that his little brother is awake and wants Mommy. So I need to close this up pretty quick. But I'll be right there, babe. So yeah, but I can look at it and I can see that I'm waiting for him to shut the door. Okay, so I can see where those things were kind of written on the wall already, because the patterns were there, the energy was there, the attitude was there, the control was there. I was just ignoring it, you could say, because I was trying to. I believed that wasn't true. I believed that this person loved me more than what I believe now that he ever did, because now a whole bunch of stuff is coming out, and that's how it always works, right? Stuff happens, and then all of a sudden the can of worms opens up, and you find out that there's all this other stuff back there that you didn't know about. So you find out that this person that you were with is actually not even the person that you thought they were, and that's always the case on different things. I've been through enough relationships that it seems that happens consistently. And the lesson behind that is just try to be as authentic as you possibly can, and don't be guilty of those things. But we all do it. We are all fake to a degree, because we're all learning ourselves. And then there's those things that we don't ever really make it through, or that we're trying to make it through, but we don't come through very well. again, another conscious coffee for another day. The point is that even in the last couple months, I've had a whole bunch of, you could say, highly emotional, traumatic things happen. And a lot of it on the front side was not good. There's been little like splashes in the midst of it that I could make a big scene about, and I could really like get focused in on and say, that's not good, that's not good. The difference between this particular traumatic event situation and others that I've experienced is that I am extremely focused on following my intuition, really, really paying attention and not wavering very much from it at all. And what I've noticed is that not wavering very much, not wobbling in that energy is providing me with the ability to just consistently have things positively show up in my life. And it's almost like some traumatic things, this drama and this trauma, these negative influences, they try to come in and they try to change everything up. But then the universe just goes, oh, don't worry about that. You're just going to kind of sail through. You're just going to sail through over here, because as long as you listen and you don't let all that shit get to you, it's all going to just work out perfectly. And that's where, in the midst of it, I look at everything and I go, damn, I'm really, really happy. My children are healthy and strong. I have an amazing house. I have an amazing new car. My business is doing fucking amazing. My body is physically doing better. I mean, there are ailments that was coming up in my relationship that I was going to the doctor and I had different things coming up. And now it's like everything just went kind of away, and I realizing that my spirit was trying to get my attention consistently about stuff, and I was ignoring and I was blocking. And as soon as this large impact happened in my world and I opened up to spirit and paying even more attention to spirits, things just started to like blossom and open up in different ways. So that's how I can sit here after a few months of some really shitty stuff and a whole bunch of past experiences like crap, and look at all these negative things that were negative. They weren't fun. They were negative. Don't really ever want to repeat them again. That's why I want to get the lesson, right? And that's why I'm sharing the lesson. But change, no matter what that change is, it blows through our life. It changes our life. But it is always, always, always pushing us towards something so much better. It is opening us up. It is tapping us in. It is guiding us to be exactly who we really are called to be, if we'll only listen, if we'll only open up to that, if we will only tap in and allow ourselves to hear that voice of God in every single moment, in every single day. And it's tough. It's scary. It is going to bring up so much stuff for you. But I can tell you that is so worth it. It is so, so worth it. So there is my lesson on change. There is my thoughts on change. Take it or leave it. Do whatever you want with it. It's at least what I've experienced. My intimacy share for this week. Didn't know I was going to share all that stuff, but I did. Yeah. And just embrace the changes. Embrace the changes with a knowing that they're moving you forward and that there's always good stuff underneath that. There really truly is a silver lining to every cloud. You just have to open up to seeing it. And that's not a bunch of bullshit. It's a reality. So, okay, guys. I'm going to go and give my babies breakfast now, since they are all awake, and go have a little date with one of my kids, because I have a morning date planned with my 5-year-old this morning. So, off to go do that and do a whole bunch of other cool stuff and get some written stuff out. There should be a really cool article coming out. I am going to be launching a new workshop. I am finishing up the 10-day ass kickery class as well. So Stop Fucking Around is getting finished up. And it is recorded live trainings. I am going to be doing some hot seats in there, and it will be rebroadcasted in a couple weeks from now. But if you want to sign up and you want to get those 10 days of getting into alignment ass kickery, please, please, please go ahead and do that. We have lots of great conversations going on. The group is going to remain open. I'm going to create a community of people that want to be in alignment and are willing to consistently help kick each other's ass and get a little bit of coaching from me too. So once you join this course, just realize that it is going to be ongoing, where you can share, where you can come and communicate with others that are going through similar things, and you can get this 10-day basically 10 steps, 10 lessons with a whole bunch of work to get you into that alignment. And it really doesn't matter what you're trying to create in your life or what you're trying to clear in your life. We all need a little bit of alignment ass kickery, and this is going to get you into that flow of the fuckiest life that you really, really want. So take a moment, review that page, click on it, sign up for the class. It is fantastic. Have lots of amazing people in there already, and if you work through those lessons that are in there, you can actually really make some great use out of the hot seats, which is going to be Q&As that are coming up over the course of the next 2 weeks as well. Okay, so go ahead. The link is pinned on here, and yeah, and then look for a new course that's going to be coming out here in just a little bit, and that's going to be designed all for entrepreneurs. So I will catch you later. As always, stop existing, start living, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you.